Hello, this is Alba Gomez and welcome to Amplify the podcast. I am incredibly passionate about helping men and women amplify who they are and how they show up in the world. Let's have a conversation about how you can amplify your confidence and presence so you get the results you want in your business and career. Welcome to episode 8 of season 2 of Amplify. And today we're going to continue with a topic that is very close to what we spoke last episode about your ability to be memorable. We're going to be talking today about powerful impressions, which is the next step in that you need to consider when wanting to increase your level of influence and your presence. So I have two different concepts when it comes to powerful impressions. There is a need for you to create powerful impressions so you are noticed and seen. Otherwise, you're going to go under the radar. We are exposed to so much information, to so many personal brands in the world, online and in person, that if you are not that person that stands out with a memorable, powerful impression, you won't be taken into consideration. And I am talking about you getting a new date, you getting a new job, you getting more clients. It is the reality of life. We need to be seen. Otherwise, we will go under the radar. So as a result of that, I really want to share a few things about the science behind creating powerful impressions and how our brains work when taking information in, so you can make sure you stand out. So that is one thing that I consider is incredibly important for you to understand. You need to know how people are perceiving you and if they're actually noticing you, which I'm going to be talking in more detail in a second. However, on the other side of that, you might have heard me said before, what people think of you is none of your business. What I mean by that is do not let your actions be driven by the fear of judgment of what people are going to think about you. So I know they seem like two conflicting concepts, but they are not. So let me explain. People judge you. That's how it happens. That's what happens because that's how the brain operates. And as human beings, we all have a brain. We all do that. So people will judge you no matter what you do. You cannot live your life and sort through all your thoughts and actions so you can please everybody or to just try to get it right so people don't judge you. That is an incredibly exhausting way of living. You need to own your power. You need to be you, but you can understand how the science of forming those impressions work. So you can kind of do tiny little adjustments at time where it is required and where it is needed for you to create a powerful impression. So without losing who you are, you can create a more powerful impression than if you hadn't. I want you to be the person that leaves most situations thinking, yes, I put my best foot forward. I say the things the way I wanted them to say. Not leaving a situation thinking, I wish I could have said this. I wish I didn't say this. I was silly. Why did I do this? Why didn't I do that? Or was I fidgety? Or was I nervous? So as you can see, this is all about you creating powerful impressions without losing the real you. This is all about you being your real self. So once you understand that, I also want to explain that most of the time, how you are perceived is very different to how you think you are perceived. I take my clients through a process in which I get them to get feedback from people, and then they tell me how they think they are being perceived. And most of the time, they get blown away by the gap. Sometimes for the better, sometimes not so good. And there is a model called the Johari window that allows us to understand that the more we close that gap between how we think we are perceived and how actually people perceive us, we can achieve our next level of success. So I take my clients through this process, and I can tell you it is one of the most enlightening exercises, because when I work with somebody, they might come to me because they want to elevate the brand, the presence, they might be missing in opportunities, and they want to understand why. And sometimes people obviously have really good and valuable feedback for us. So I was doing this exercise with a client recently, and he knew pretty much that he wanted to elevate his level of influence. because he felt he wasn't being taken as serious as he thought. And when we went through this assessment from 6 people in his life, it was quite interesting to see for him that people thought he was very, pretty much to summarize it, he was very quiet, and sometimes people was reading that as being indifferent. So he was not taken into consideration for some decisions just because of that. And it's quite interesting because he thought he was acting in a way that was being respectful to others, but it was read completely different. I personally remember when I started university, this was in Colombia many, many years ago, I remember one of my friends told me that one of her friends really liked me, one guy, but he told her, but she looks like she's so serious and she wouldn't even be interested. And I was really surprised that I was seen as a very serious person when I'm completely far from that. But I am very blind, even though I had LASIK like many years ago as well. So I do tend to frown a lot because I don't see, so I'm trying to focus. But people was reading that as me being very serious and unapproachable. So it was quite interesting for me. And I guess I have always been very smiley, but I think since then I have become more. And I've always said to people, if I don't say hello to you on the street, it's because I didn't see you. Believe me. So do come and wave in front of me. Then I will see you and I will be able to communicate with you, to have a conversation with you. So sometimes we do things with good intentions or unconsciously, but those impressions are perceived completely different. And the other thing you need to understand is our brain make those assumptions in the snap of a second. And based on that assumption, we form a filter, and you are seen through that filter. So it's kind of like you create your reputation, and that's it. And it's created within very few seconds. And as human beings, we like being right. So we will look for evidence to support our initial claim. So that is why it is very important that you are creating very strong initial impressions, because then you're going to be seen through that filter. So I really invite you to ask 3 people at least in your life. Do not ask your husband, your wife, your kids, or your mom and dad, but do ask people who are maybe close friends or people in your work environment, and ask them, how am I perceived? What are my biggest strengths? What are my biggest weaknesses? And you will find very important information. And remember, the key here is that you close the gap between how you are perceived and how you think you're being perceived. I can tell you, with all of my clients that I have worked in the last 14 years, closing and understanding this gap has been incredibly helpful in allowing them to take that next level in whatever it is, the career, the life, the relationships. So I highly encourage you do that. And really notice as well, how much are you making use of all the ways you communicate to create that impression? That is, are you making sure you are aligning your image with your body language, with your energy, and with your words? It's really important that we spoke about consistency about a few episodes ago. But it's also really important that what you think and what you say, it is communicating consistently through your image, your body language, your voice, your intonation, your energy. So it is important that we create and form those things and align them, because our brain does not like inconsistency. And when inconsistency is created, we lose trust. Then again, we spoke about this a little bit on the first episode of this, first or second of this season. Consistency is really important, and consistency between your message and how you actually present it is going to be a very important aspect when it comes to creating that incredible, powerful impression. So I really, really invite you today to take a few minutes to score how you think you've been perceived, and to get a few people around and ask them and let them tell you how you actually being perceived. And then you're going to be able to see if how you think you are perceived is the way you think you are, and make little adjustments from there. And once more, as I mentioned, if you want to go deeper into these topics, I cannot recommend enough you check out my Presence Formula online, which is a simple yet very powerful program that is self-paced through the concepts that we're discussing on this podcast. And for being a listener of this podcast, I'm offering you a 35% discount. That is $100 off of the normal price, which is an incredible special offer. So check it out. If you have any questions, send me an email. I can clarify them for you. And yeah, to your success, to finding out how you're really perceived. I'll see you at the next episode. Bye. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Amplify. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe. Also, I will love it if you leave us a review. See you for the next episode. Bye-bye.